Good afternoon, this is Dominic with TheBackVlog. Recently, I finished a play by Christopher Chen entitled Passage. Um, this thing I didn't really click with as much as I was intending to. I do think there are really interesting tidbits about it, though. It's a very experimental play. All the characters are referred to as just letters, like their names are letters, and they reside in, well, the whole thing takes place in country X, but there's like this conflict between a country X and a country Y. And this thing is kind of written as a kind of like a hypothetical geopolitical scenario. But I think what's really interesting about it is that it is written in such an open-ended and fluid way that, depending on your cultural experience and your history, this can take a lot of like different meaning. What I mean by the fluidity of it is that the direction is very open-ended for any theater company that decides to put it on. Like you have the openness of gender fluidity in terms of the roles. You have basically explicit direction saying that it's an open stage. There's not much stage set dressing. It really kind of opens up to whatever culture that this play is being put on. It also serves as kind of an offshoot adaptation of sorts of A Passage of India, the novel by E.M. Forster, which I've never read, so I don't really know anything about it. I can't really speak to it, but there's like these fourth wall breaks in this play that kind of say to, separate that source material from this and separate any preconception of conventional play structure, like an intermission or anything like that. And just kind of like allow yourself as an audience member to really dissect what's going on and digest what's going on. I don't really have a lot to say about it just because it didn't really click with me so much. I do really see the intrigue behind it, but I think the problem is, especially with how open-ended and fluid it is, and just kind of how transformative it can be, pretty much dependent on the context in which it's put on. Reading it, you don't really get a whole lot out of it. Not to say that there's not a lot to get out of it, but there is so much more to be said with an actual performance of it going on. Reading and just like imagining the things going on is not really the same as seeing a production of it go on in, say, like America or somewhere in Europe or somewhere in Asia. This thing is really, I think it is incredible, like how transformative it has the potential to be. It's definitely super dense, like especially considering like just like how short it is. It's a very short, like 65-page play, but there's definitely a lot to say with it. I'm sure there's some archive of live performances of this. So I'm really interested to see how different cultures can perform this. I would also like to see this in person one day. That would be really interesting, so I'll have to keep an eye out. But until then, that's Passage by Christopher Chen. Like I said, I don't really have a lot to add to whatever discussion there is. This is mainly just a log of me saying that I've read it. But yeah, other than that, I hope you have a splendid day and take care of yourself.